This is my world, this is how I want it to be, and I hope the few people who play it will actually enjoy it as much as I did when I made it. That's what I want to see more.
Hi everybody, I'm Anna Sweets, and I'm here with my bro Scorpiuson.
Hello.
Hi. And today we are reacting to and discussing the video Why I Only Play Old Games by Angelica Tosh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Tosh? But yeah, this is a very interesting video that actually one of my viewers also linked me, and I thought it was super interesting to just have a little discussion on it. And maybe we can add something interesting. So, have you seen this video already, Scorpy?
Just a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I haven't. I saw it, but I didn't fully watch it, I guess. So
Same. I did it when I cleaned.
yeah, so I would love to have a discussion, and we just try and add something to what she's trying to say, and see what we agree with or what we disagree with, or anything like that.
Hey guys, do you ever just wanna...
Is that
Or-
Oblivion?
or even,
Or the
Because
Warcraft
I do.
Classic?
like, all the time? The truth is, I haven't been excited about a new release for a very long time. When I have spare time, when I want to chill and just immerse myself in a different world, I go for games that are like 20 years old, or somewhere around that. If you watched my channel at all, you will know that I'm somebody that appreciates the finer details in games. I really love worlds that feel alive, eccentric characters, cozy environments. I like beautiful things like art, and of course, my favorite, I like clothing and accessories. More and more, I'm finding that modern games have nothing to offer me, and I do want to preface this by saying that this is strictly my opinion, but you would think that with the technology that we have now, all of those things that I mentioned earlier could be improved upon tenfold, but alas, we are given bland worlds, sometimes a lecture in politics, and the erasure of femininity in gaming. The last point in particular is something that I, as a female gamer, really hate to see, because in the industry's attempt to become more inclusive and conscious of the issues that women deal with when it comes to depictions in media, they've actually gone and made femininity inherently evil and sexualized. Through different companies' actions, we're being shown that beauty and beautiful women have no space in modern gaming, that they're just too much. Aside from that, their portrayal of what it means to be a strong woman suggests that we need to be able to physically overpower our male opponents. The greatest example of this for me is Abby from The Last of Us 2, who is not only the least relatable female protagonist I've seen in any game ever, she's also said to be extremely unlikable from the start for what she does to our beloved Joel. The game tries its best to make you sympathize with her by telling you her part of the story, but the combination of her unrealistic build and her actions throughout the game just make me resent her.
For me as well, as a woman, some of these things have kind of bothered me as well.
Yeah, and that is... yeah.
Have you played The Last of Us 2?
No. I left it out in my bucket list because it went horrible for me.
I have not played either of the games, so I'm not so familiar, but when I see the character, I'm like, wow. I mean, she said the character doesn't look realistic because she's muscular and she's in a, it's like a zombie world or whatever, so how would she have enough protein or whatever? Right?
Well, I get it. It's a video game. You can do a little bit in world, a little bit tweaks here and there, and that's fair enough. But I think the biggest point from my side is they just use the whole game one to make us love somebody, and then just take it away, and then we sitting left with anger for that person, and that's of course her, Gabby.
I see. So I don't know the story that well. So, but for me, the probably the main point is personally, I don't even care about realism because that's not why I play games. I mean,
yeah, the point is to escape to a different world. We just trying to escape and get away from the real world for a few moments and just live on something else, and that's a video game doing. But yeah, when I understand that.
What she
Well,
mentions is like she said like, you know, sexual or sexualization and stuff, and like it seems like they're trying to like go exactly the opposite direction, make it like the least sexy possible. Like a counter
yeah,
movement.
yeah. I haven't noticed that so much. More like they try to neutralize it a little bit more because they try to make room to something else, maybe.
And I think they have every right to do that. Like I don't, you know, personally I know there's people playing that do want realism in their games. They want everything to be like real life or super hyper realistic graphics and stuff like that. And that's fine. Like either way, I don't care that much, but I think if you ask me personally, like which character would I prefer to look at, right? Like original Lara Croft or new Lara Croft from like the like reboot games? I would be like, well, I prefer to look at the original one. First of all, the original one is much nicer to look at. I'm not saying the new one is like ugly or anything like that. But she's also like a lot more fun because the game itself is already not like the premise is not that realistic to begin with. So like her style kind of matches that for me as well. And like on top of that, like she's kind of just a badass. She's fun, you know?
Yeah,
It's just wearing her sunglasses while like going into the tomb and stuff like that. It's kind of like really fun. It's like it's not realistic, but she's cool. And I'd rather look at a cool and sexy character because that's just more fun for me to look at because I don't I can look at realistic things every day. I can just go outside. Right?
yeah, true. Like, yeah, I don't have so much detail or meaning about Lara Croft, for example, but for me, when people try to make stuff so realistic, it start to be unrealistic. That's when it start to bother me a little bit with some stuff.
I see. So like what she said
But
about the that I don't know, I forgot her name from The Last of Us.
Abby, I think it was.
Abby, yeah. So she said like it was kind of like unrealistic in that situation, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
if they
Yeah.
had her maybe a little bit skinnier, uh, like she pointed out, like protein and all that stuff, sure. But if she was skinnier and yeah, that should be enough to make it more realistic because transformation and whatever, like whatever you do in your life, that take time. It's like growing a peach.
So the other side of that is like that why do strong women have to be basically like men? That's another thing I did notice is that they think like strong women have to look like men or act like men, which is I think it's like ridiculous.
A little bit, yeah. Uh,
Yeah. There's a lot of feminine features that are maybe they're softer or like maybe women aren't as physically strong as men, but that doesn't mean that women don't have their own strengths as well. And of course, there's going to be women that are buff as heck or whatever, they exist, but that's probably the minority. That's like a minority of women, right?
You know, when we come to old games, one thing I do remember, I don't remember which game it was. I find this one so super funny. A man that's have a fully equipped armor. He have like 80% like a perfect armor, and he look like the super knight in shine in like 80% like armor. And then the woman come like in basically almost a bikini with like a small chain around her, and she have like a 95% protection and armor, and she just walking basically in bikini. That's was a little bit fun before. That was like some people call it like cool or nice sexy, if that makes sense.
And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of thing, of course it's ridiculous. Like, of course it's
It is.
unrealistic. But
But
that's
that
like
was
the
like
point.
Yeah, that was the point. Like, it's unrealistic. It's a game.
And if you ask me, to be honest, I actually really like those kind of like outfits. I think they're like cool, and I like to look at them, and I like to like if I'm the character in a game, I'd rather be like pretty and or sexy, because like that's like something I can aspire to be, right? Even if it's
Yeah,
unrealistic, it's just fun.
escape to a different world.
Yeah, like I would always choose to play with like the prettier, sexier character, right? Or like dress myself in such a way that it's like that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and doesn't mean I necessarily need to have like only skimpy outfits or whatever, but I don't mind them like at all. I think they're fun, you know? Like I don't care.
Yeah, like sometimes it's just fun. Like sometimes just for fun, just to have fun. If I have the option to choose a female character, I will choose a female character just because I can.
Oh, they're more fun to dress up. I feel like more
Yeah,
versatile and stuff.
yeah,
Usually, like if you go in Elden Ring, basically, every character does look the same pretty much, but the armor does have slight differences in how it looks, and some armor
uh,
is like from like it's clearly feminine because it came from like the female bosses or the female like warriors or whatever.
hmm I was laughing so hard when I played Dark Souls 3 and have a male character and walking in dancer's clothing. That's
Yeah, you get a
that's
nice
funny.
peach booty in that.
Oh yeah, you get a nice peach booty in that one.
But that's like my personal preference, right? Like I don't care if games want to do like other things in their game, make women like look unattractive or whatever. And of course that's just my opinion as well. That I think they're unattractive or whatever. But like I think that's fine. I just think they're not gonna like less people are gonna like it.
Yeah.
Because I also prefer to look at something beautiful rather than something not beautiful. So I'm very shallow. Let's face it. I'm very shallow, okay?
I think like there's a line between beautiful, natural beautiful, and expected beautiful, and for me, natural beauty is more beauty for me in some situation when you come like to how people make the game and how the character is trying to be developed. Like if you do it too much like unrealistic, or it's not going to be falling in taste for me.
So you prefer a little bit natural? Not
Yeah,
so like
natural.
extreme, like extreme like some of the
Abby, like Last of Us 2, that's a good example again.
Yeah, I mean she's pretty extreme, but there's also opposite extreme. Like for example, like the do you know Ivy from Soul Calibur?
No,
She's like a very extreme, right? Like as in I mean, oh my god, look at her booba, look at her outfit, like holy heck.
that is way too much for me.
So yeah, like that's for me as well. It's kind of like a bit ridiculous, but at the same time, it's kind of fun, and I don't care. Like personally, I don't like it that much, but I don't care if people like it. Like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
I don't know. Like I think if all games are only doing that, it might like actually bother me, but it's clearly not, right?
You also have from Horizon, like one place where I find it really good is Aloy from Horizon. That's a really good developed character, me personally, what I think.
Okay, because I don't like her in the second one especially. I think she's not attractive, and I don't want to look
I,
at
ju-
her.
I haven't played the second one, and there's a reason why.
Like,
It's also the fact that developers are held to these quotas at all. So they were, quote, pushing for a black or female lead in a Star Wars game. Now, what this tells me is that the character and the story don't matter as much as their identity. So this is why we're no longer getting well-written and actually interesting, strong female leads in games. Women have become a box that needs to be checked. We can sort of see this in the kind of criticism that games that go against the current are receiving as well, like Black Myth Wukong. An issue that some reviewer had was that they didn't come across any female characters in the beginning of the game. Now, there are female characters in Wukong, but if you don't meet them straight away, that is bad for some reason. We're not letting developers tell a story how they want to tell it, how it's meant to be told. We need to dictate how they're telling these stories so that they will fit our standards. In the year 2000.
Yeah, I kind of agree with her there. Like, what she's saying about ticking boxes and stuff, and it basically just makes things worse because, like, for example, right, they just write a character that's kind of like, they change a character that's originally male and they just change it into a female in movies and stuff. And it's like, but that character was like, it was like specifically that person. And if you just gender swap, then a lot of other things should also be changing, right? It can't just be the same character.
It's like they're playing bingo. Do we remember this character? Yes, we did. Okay, did we do this now? Yes, we did. Okay, have we remembered to put this in the game? Yes, okay, bingo. We put it out. Now it's for sale. Here you go. Where's the rest? Like, there's so many need to be filled out, like graphics and physics and actually a good story. But that's what I feel like. They're playing bingo, and every time they get one, they just pull the string and say, "Here you go. Here's the game."
That as well. Like, I feel like they're like what you said, playing bingo, and it's kind of like, I don't think that's a lot of like necessarily by choice from some like teams. Like, it's definitely like an outside influence kind of thing, and definitely like for AAA studios. And I'm AAA, I guess it means like, large game studios that are well established. I think for them, they're trying to like appeal to as many people as possible, right? They're trying to like appeal to the broadest audience. So they're trying to like be like, okay, we want more women to play our games. So if we put a woman in the game, maybe more women will play as well. So our audience will be bigger, right?
Yeah.
And so we're doing all these characters. They're all like different people that maybe we're trying to like appeal to. But in the end, like, it's kind of like counter effective because basically if you try to appeal to everybody, you're gonna appeal to nobody in the end, right?
True.
It just makes things like bland because you're too scared to do anything because you're just putting all these characters with superficial characteristics, right? That kind of like look like a bunch of people, but it doesn't have any depth because if you really wanted to appeal to people, let's say, okay, that's easy. Just make a character without a dad. Here, like, how many people grew up without a dad or a shitty dad? Easy, right? You appeal to like such a wide range of people if you do that. Right?
Yeah.
It's not about like superficial characteristics. It's about like actual characteristics of their like life or their personality. That would like appeal to so many people. If you like do that's just an example, right?
Yeah. I do get it. Like that is a good example, and like they try to go too into reality, and again, a video game is to escape the reality and go to a different world.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like, it doesn't have to like be realistic, but we can still like relate to certain issues that they're having, right? Even if they're not like realistic issues. But they still come down to like, we can relate to characters if they're well written.
I'm curious, what was the last game that you did see as a trailer that made you actually go really excited? I'm not including DLC now, just talking about the base game.
The answer is still going to be Elden Ring, you know?
Okay, take away Elden Ring then.
Take away Elden Ring. Oh, that's difficult. See. Maybe like not super hype because I don't really, to be honest, I don't like to get hyped on based on trailers because most of them are not really showing that much gameplay anyway. But honestly, it was just the remake of the Tomb Raider trilogy.
Oh, gotcha.
That one got me so excited because I love the original Tomb Raider trilogy, as you know. And then they just gave it like a makeover. That's just exactly what I wanted. What I've been wanting for like years.
Yeah.
And it was just so perfect. And I know it's not even a new game. It's just an old game that they reskinned it, right?
Yeah.
And they basically like updated it so it works. It runs on our systems and stuff like that. And that's the crazy part. The last new game I was really excited for was obviously Elden Ring. Because like I know From Software, they're like a good studio.
Yeah, that's why I understand. But like, if we try to open it up a little bit, like we like take from software, like put that away. I understand you really like that game, and I'm talking about if you're going to go outside the world and try to explore it, or like a different game, basically. Like I understand. Tomb Raider, that is an old game, basically. So I'm curious about the new game world. Like, have it been something made you actually excited or hyped?
I mean, not really. I'm not gonna lie. Not really. Nothing really like makes me that excited, and especially a lot of new games. Either when I see the trailer, either the game just looks like not beautiful to me. I know some of them are like super realistic, right? But let's say Call of
Yeah,
Duty, that looks super realistic and stuff. But that stuff doesn't excite me at all because I don't care about realism, and I want to see something that looks lovely, like, or interesting, not like a real world. So that kind of stuff wouldn't interest me. So I would like to see some like interesting design, right? Something new and
yeah.
interesting. And or the other thing is about trailers is that I think I told you this before that about trailers, I hate trailers so much because they always do that stupid dung dung dung, you know, that stupid sound. Ugh,
Yeah,
I hate that so much. And they do like the shots like boom boom boom, you know, they do like the different shots to the boom sounds, whatever that is. And
yeah.
I hate that trend so much. Whenever they do that, I get so like irrationally angry. I really don't like it because it's so like stop doing that. Like just make a trailer like according to your own vision, you know? Like
Why
make
does it have to
something.
be so basic?
Yeah, why does everyone have to do this? And like super fast, you know? And like
Yeah,
I don't know, but for me like that doesn't show me, first of all, it doesn't show like usually they don't show that much gameplay anyway, right? During those kind of trailers, and they just show like action shots sometimes, but it doesn't really show me that much of the game itself or what's the experience like or what's the atmosphere like in the game, because I would like to know like about the atmosphere as well, because that's a huge thing. I think she also kind of brought it up in the beginning about the atmosphere,
yeah.
right? Like, and that's part of like more like it's not part of graphics, it's more part of like game design, art direction, yeah, stuff like that, right? That makes like the
Like,
atmosphere and also even like sound design.
if I was going to get give somebody I don't know how to say it. Like, if I'm going to point something out, like I know how good developer have access to graphics, and sometimes it they choose to use the old engine they have before because they're not bothered by making new. Like I have seen the newest Battlefield game. The graphics on that one is actually pretty good comparison to Call of Duty that still look like they're made of trash. And the last time when I felt like an old game looked new in the graphic and they actually made it something atmospheric and what I like, it's sad to say it, but last time I was hyped for something, it was Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And that was only, I'm pointing it out, only for the zombies. Because I loved zombies and they made a perfect story, a perfect Easter eggs. They made it so perfect. And after Black Ops 3 Zombies, nope, I haven't been excited for a long time.
Same for me. I think it's, like I said, like it's been a long time, and like atmosphere is not just something. I think it's something that like some companies are really good at, and like they learn it over time. You can see how they develop like their atmosphere. For example, like I don't know, you've played Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
No.
It's a horror game, and basically I played like the previous games before that. They were called Penumbra. I played those, and you can kind of see how they're learning and evolving with like their how they designed the game, how they achieved the atmosphere. And then after that, they had a game called Soma, which was like way spookier as well. So, and you can see how they like grow and evolve, right? How they're learning from their previous iterations of the game.
Yeah.
It's not just something that you instantly do. And the same with the designs for characters. I also think like the designs for characters, it's really difficult to design an interesting looking character, like what she said, right? Like if you, as you play Apex Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically I know you like some of the characters very much, right?
Yes, indeed.
I don't remember. I don't know the characters, but I recognize them now because like you showed me some of them, and like, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it's how they are built. Like you have Apex Legend, you have Watson. She's just a sweet old, like sweet girl who's still a little bit dangerous, and for me, I like to bring dad jokes, and she has some dad jokes, and that's why she's really fun to play with. And she doesn't have like a boost on somehow. She just you need to rely on your aim more than ability. That's why I like her. And you also have Revenant, and he's basically just a deaf spider monkey.
Oh yeah, isn't that the edgy guy, the edgy looking guy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
This brings me to the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm at a point where I don't know if I even want them to go there anymore, because by today's standards there is just so much that could go wrong. A few months ago I came across this really spicy hot take that said this.
Skyrim, the game by Bethesda, is a pro-colonization narrative and is racist.
Now, I did a full response to that video on my TikTok account when it came out, so I will leave it in the description of this video if you want to see that, but in short, I said the depiction does not equal endorsement. I'm seeing that we're starting to have a real problem with media literacy, like it's non-existent. So just because a particular topic is discussed in any piece of media, it is suddenly endorsed, it is shown as a good thing, according to these people. This girl gave many examples of depictions of racism in Skyrim, like where you can see the Nords ganging up on a dark elf in Windhelm and harassing her, referring to her race as the Greyskins, which is an attempt at a slur. But lest we forget, ladies and gentlemen, that the dark elves of Morrowind are not too fond of Outlanders themselves, or Enwas, as they call them. You see, Skyrim is an already incredibly diluted game when it comes comes to heavy and difficult topics compared to its predecessors. Like, I'm pretty sure that regardless of your race in the game, you may see slight dialogue differences, but you'll still have equal opportunities for progression throughout the game. It doesn't really change your journey much, whereas in Morrowind, based on your race, you'll actually have a different disposition with different races. So I guess you can call that racism built into the game, but it's just a realistic depiction of how different peoples would react to Outlanders in their homeland. Not only that, Morrowind deals with the very heavy topic of slavery. The player, while having the option to free slaves, can just as easily not help, and in some cases make things worse. In Skyrim, there really isn't an action that you can take that compares to that. In fact, the way in which these racist encounters are presented are meant to make you feel sorry for the person being harassed and not the other way around. So if Skyrim, as I've said, is already a more diluted version of events, and is still causing such a stir with these people, what can we expect from the next installment of The Elder Scrolls? Because unfortunately, these are the kind of people that are being listened to. Should we expect anything? Aren't we better off just replaying Oblivion for the billionth time instead of expecting like a complex and interesting story to come out of the next game? I'm also worried about the incessant attempts at
Okay, sorry. Yeah, what she said is very true about people not understanding. Like, just because you show something in a piece of fiction doesn't mean that you're like supporting it, right?
Yeah, it's just how you choose to play the game. That's your world, that's your rule. Like, that's something, and there's a reason why people go through the game multiple times just to have different endings or explore stuff. Like,
That's the whole thing. Like, the same with, that's why I'm so concerned about Silent Hill 2 remake, because Silent Hill 2, as I mentioned, it has like some very heavy topics, like Angela, and basically she was abused, right? And there's like not, it doesn't directly say it, but there's some very graphic kind of like depictions kind of implying all of those things, and as well
yeah.
as her behavior. And I'm kind of like worried because like the remake, I don't know if they're just going to do the same thing or they're going to try to tone it down or something, because it's like, it's quite disturbing. Like, even if they don't show anything directly, it's disturbing.
It, if I can point out something just for fun now, what is the point with a scary game if there's none jump scare in it or anything blood or disgusting or anything? What's the point with a horror game? That it's supposed to do it with you, like you're supposed to feel something. That's the inner core with the game.
That's a very good, yeah, that's a very good point. Like, you're supposed to feel something. And that's kind of what makes games art for me, is they can evoke feelings. And that's kind of like what art is to me. It can evoke something, like games or other fiction can evoke some feelings in you, right? And that's what it should do. And it could be like it makes you feel uncomfortable. That's true.
Yeah. So, like I say, what's the point with watching a scary game if there or scary movie without any scares or jump scare or anything like that? What is it?
That's the point.
Just a boring movie?
I mean, that's why a lot of games feel so bland nowadays, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
they're scared of those kind of things. They're only doing like superficial kind of depictions of stuff, but not like in depth, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm scared of it. That's the same thing, like what she said. She's not looking forward to the next Elder Scrolls, and I'm the same because I also play The Sims 4, and as you know, like Sims 4, I don't know if you know, but it has a lot of problems. Honestly, it's got a lot of problems. First of all, it's EA, so. But secondly, like, because I also played The Sims 2, and I still play that to this day. 2 just has this feeling like all this weird stuff that can happen in your game, and all of these like there's some established characters in the game, right? Like established families, and they all have these like weird like histories, right? Like one person, she's got like a graveyard in her backyard because apparently she's been killing all these people or something. So like it was like really messed up. And then there's like another one where it's like a family, but the guy, he's like having an affair with the maid and stuff like that. Like all that stuff
Yeah.
is already established. And that stuff, like, I don't think there's anything like that in The Sims 4. Like, they have established characters, but there's nothing like crazy like that. I'm not gonna say nothing because there's still some crazy stuff, but it's like they're afraid of it. You know, they're afraid to like do this kind of like super wacky, like super crazy scenarios and stuff. It kind of feels like that, and then instead of that, like instead of focusing on doing those kind of crazy things or like having those options for you or having like crazy stuff happen, the gameplay feels very boring. And meanwhile, they're focusing a lot on like adding stuff for like appearance. So for example, they added like hearing aids. So I was like, that's cool. Like you add hearing aids, right? So like that adds more like options for people to make Sims that like look like them or whatever, right? A lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool, but it feels like they kind of neglected the actual game in favor of like these kind of like just shallow, superficial things that they don't add anything to the gameplay. They're just appearance.
Just for fun, right now, when I just thought about it, and right now, on my PC, I almost only have like old games actually on my PC, like Sekiro, for example. It's not that old, but it's older. It's not one of the new like after 2018 maybe. Elden Ring, of course. We have also Alien versus Predator. We have Resident Evil 4, Titanfall 2, and I also have Destroy All Humans. That's like, it's starting to get an age on those games, and that is like, most of them is just perfect made atmosphere. They get it under your skin. You start feeling stuff.
I'm not gonna say I only play old games because that's not true, for sure. I'm open to playing new games. Like, if the new games are good, I'm willing to play them. Right? Like for example, one of the trailers I was interested in was Silent Hill F because they're making a new Silent Hill game. It takes place in Japan, and I love me some spooky Japanese atmosphere. You know, I love Fatal Frame, which is like another horror game. It's always in a like very like a traditional Japanese setting. I love that stuff, but like that's why I'm kind of like excited, but I'm still like very cautiously optimistic, you know, for every trailer that I see. Because
You're not trying to disappoint yourself.
right, and another thing with old games is that there's so many people that have already played them. They can tell you, yeah, I mean, they can tell you stuff. They can recommend things to you, right? They can tell you that it's actually good. With a new game, you like I always try to wait a little bit with new games as well, so I can find
Oh
out
yeah.
like what is actually, is it actually good, or you know, something like that.
And especially now when the prices for games is so high, and you're not 100% sure if you're getting what you expected or were hyped to. That is a so big disappointment for me.
For sure. Or you get a game that's just like bland and boring and try to appeal to everybody, you know,
Or
something like.
broken, or doesn't have too many bugs or glitch inside it.
Oh my god, The Sims 4 is broken as heck. Yeah, it's actually insane. Like I don't know. Like what are they like, they make a lot of money. What are they spending the money on? I don't know. But it's like really weird. And I'm not
It
like,
is.
I still play this game, right? And it's kind of a new game, although actually by now it's old. But they still release like expansions, right, every year. So, and it's not getting better. That's the problem, I guess. Yeah, but like I said, like I don't play only old games for sure. I'm very open to playing new games. Um I just feel like there's so many good games that you can go back to that you've never tried, right? There's still so many ones that are good. Why would I waste my time with something that's probably not good? If there's so many like treasures like that you can find if you go back to older games.
Yeah.
Like, why would I do that? They're like the new games, they're all like super expensive, right? And probably not as good or not as well written if you care about the story and stuff like that. Why would I just like why wouldn't I go back to all these old games? Just go back and play them, right?
So you want me to pay 90 euros for a game that's probably 40% done developed and I can have fully access to it? No, thank you.
I'll be more hopeful if it's like an indie developer. Because indie developers nowadays, they just do whatever because they don't have some huge investor, right? That they have to like be responsible to.
There was one game that actually started to make something good, and they're really working on that game. It's called Scum. It's a zombie game, but holy that it's no story base. It's just how they make so details into the game is just wow. That's actually really you're more scared to get sickness and poison than actually being attacked by zombie.
Yeah, I've heard it. It's like super realistic, right?
Uh-huh. And that's like the details in that is super good.
Now, I know Elder Scrolls 6 isn't going to be an MMO, but they will likely try to continue monetizing the game long after you've purchased it, and I don't mean overpriced DLC. If the next Elder Scrolls game is just gonna give our beloved franchise a bad name, honestly, I'd rather not have it at all. Keep it a mystery, and I'll just keep playing my old games.
The last part about the monetization, I basically refuse to play games now that have like microtransactions or anything like that. So except for The Sims. The Sims 4 is like I'm in too deep.
It kind of depends if they have like a gambling system inside it and they have like pay to win item, that's going to be like a no-go for me but if you can get the same items from what you can get from transaction by only working for it, I'm willingly going to do that instead because I would like to avoid using money because I think it's just a okay, I'm going to be polite and nice about it. It's a huge scam in my eyes.
Yeah, like I just avoid them like altogether because it just makes me feel like kind of an instant turn off from most games. And the only game I would like consider it for is probably like if it's only cosmetics or whatever. Then I'm kind of like, okay, sure, like but the thing is even with when it's only cosmetics or like skins or whatever, then they still like shove it in your face like all the time, right? Like in
Oh,
some
that's so.
games.
When they actually make ads inside the game to buy this, and now it's an event and all that stuff, that's so annoying. That take me off so much. Like you said, that is instant.
Like instant turn off.
That is just instant. Like that destroy it so much. And like the reason why I like Elden Ring is basically it's just like saying, oh, here's an open road for 10 miles, and there's no traffic, nothing. Here's a limbo. Here's the key. Drive it as you want it.
Yep. Or crash it if you want it.
Huh?
Or crash it as many times as you want.
Yeah, like crash it and it will be fine. Like, yeah, you won't die, the car won't die. Just it won't run out of fuel. You can drive as fast as you want. You can drive as slow as you want. Nobody's stopping you, and that's what I love a little bit with Elden Ring. It's not like you don't see any commercial on the way. Like, oh, do this and buy that. Like, it's just you and the road and the car, and that's why I love the game.
Yeah, like I feel like all the From Software games, like most of them, they focus very much on gameplay. Like the gameplay is so tight, and then there's literally no hand holding, which I love because they just don't tell you anything. Like, and even if they tell you something, I mean, you can look for information. You can like try and talk to the NPCs or read item descriptions or whatever, or you cannot. It's like whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I love them so much, but they create such a good atmosphere as well. Like the art direction is really good. I don't know that you also felt that way about Dark Souls 3 as well.
A little bit, not so much. More because I felt I got bonked a little bit more, but yeah.
Salty.
I'm not salty. It's just that's the point with the game. You're not supposed to cheat on it. You're supposed to work for it and work and work and work, and you finally achieve, like when you finally defeat the boss. Tell me you didn't, like, if you didn't get dopamine after like trying 10 times, 50 times, 100 times, I don't care. If you tell me you didn't get any dopamines after defeating that boss, there's something wrong with you.
So satisfying. And yeah, not only that, like what you said before, they just hand you the game and it's complete. I mean, they have DLCs, but that's it. There's literally nothing else to buy. It's just the whole game. You can explore as much as you want or as little as you want.
Yeah, it's up to you. It's your choice. It's up to you what you do. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you want to, yeah, it's just basically do whatever you want to. This is the limit. Like, you have 10 miles, do whatever the F you want.
I agree. That's another great point about like hand-holding in games. But there's a lot of topics here that could be discussed like very much in depth that she kind of touches upon in her video. But maybe we can discuss them in a future video.
Yeah.
In depth.
True.
Yeah, so overall, what did you think of her video?
I do see her point. I'm not trying to go too personally on some stuff, but I do see her point of view, and I like some of what she's saying. I'm not fully in for old games, but I'm fully in for the point where the game was actually good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Elden Ring is a new game, right? So it's still good.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like,
Game 3 is a new game. I think it's quite good. I haven't played it yet, but
I have not tried Baldur's Gate 3, and I think I'm going to not play it after what I have heard.
I haven't played it so bad. But yeah, like that's just things. These are things like that I think that because they're kind of callbacks, they're almost callbacks to old games. Like when games used to be just complete and let you do whatever the heck you wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't care about, like, they just cared about designing their own world in their own way. Don't care about anybody else.
This is my world, this is how I want it to be, and I hope the few people who play it will actually enjoy it as much as I did when I made it. That's what I want to see more of developers. Don't be scared of having a bingo set to remember to put this, and when you have a bingo you release the game. Like,
Just make something that you care about. If you care about it, other people will care too. Well, drop a comment down below. What did you think? Do you agree or disagree? And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
bye bye.